Wonder I can launch the. I think I should be able to launch the. Yeah, poll now. Here we go. Do you see the poll come up now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Welcome to those of you who just joined. We are going to get started in just about 4 minutes here. Um, on the screen, you should see a countdown clock with the title slide from our webinar, as well as a poll. When you get an opportunity, feel free to go ahead and answer that poll at your convenience. No pressure, not required, but help us gather a little bit of information on our side. Thank you. Welcome to those of you who just joined. Appreciate you jumping in a little early. We're going to get started in about a minute or about 2 minutes or so here. You should see a title slide with a countdown clock that's going through right now, as well as a poll that should be up on the screen. That poll's not required, but by if you'd like, you can go ahead and fill it out. It'll help us on our side, on the marketing side as well. So thank you all. Hang tight. We will get started shortly. So we are just at 11 o'clock. We are going to get started in just about a minute or so. Welcome to those of you who are just joining. We will get started shortly. On your screen, you should see a poll. It is not required, but if you would fill it out, it would help us out immensely. Thank you very much. And hang tight. We'll get going in a minute here, or 30 seconds or so. All right. So I think we're going to get started here. Let me just get a quick check for my panelists. Can you give me a thumbs up if you think you can hear me okay and everything looks good?
Yeah, all good.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll go ahead and thank you for filling out the poll. We'll go ahead and end that poll at the moment here. All right. Well, welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today we're going to be talking about an exciting new product we are going to be launching here soon. It's called Smart Scheduler. I'm going to start off by saying I want to cover a couple of quick sort of ground rules and housekeeping items, and then we will jump right into it. So the first thing I've always have to do, if you've been on these webinars, I read through this, a shortened version of this looking forward statement. Excuse me, tongue tied today. The presentation will contain some information regarding areas of the Cirrus Insight platform that are currently unreleased and still under development. Product demonstrations, illustrations, and prototypes shown today and in today's presentation may look different, be referred to under different names, may function differently once released. We encourage you all to make any and all buying decisions based on the features and functionality that are currently available. Before we get started, this event is being recorded and all registrants will receive a recording within about 24 hours or so. We try to get it out earlier than that. Sometimes it takes us about 24 hours to get the recording and get it processed and into a format that we can share it with you all. We are going to be utilizing the Q&A pod. Those of you who've been on webinars with me before, I love it when there's a lot of interaction with the participants. If possible, throw as many questions into that Q&A pod as you can. We will answer as many as we can live, or I will try to answer as many as we can live. Any of the ones that we don't get to or can't answer live, one of my co-panelists here, we have Pete and Cody, as well as Ryan. They'll try to answer those offline. And of course, should go without saying, but anything that we don't get to, we will make sure that we follow up with you offline as well. So just wanted to make sure that everybody's on the same page there. So let's go ahead and jump right into well, what is Smart Scheduler? Well, Smart Scheduler is a brand new tool that we have layered right on top of our industry-leading calendar scheduling technology. This tool helps make sure that your customers, right, have the ability to instantly connect with the right team members and their specific calendar availability to book a meeting when they need to. All right. So why do we think Smart Scheduler is such a big deal? Well, we feel that there's a huge gap in the meeting automation game today. Getting web traffic to the right employees can be a difficult problem to solve. We think we have a bit of a unique answer to that problem. Think about it, right? Whether that's a prospective customer trying to find the right financial advisor in their area, a new student trying to book time with the right teacher or advisor, or that a potential homeowner in the real estate market trying to book time with the right agent, right? Smart Scheduler, right, has the ability to make that process frictionless for those end users. Basically, when what we want to try to do is we want to try to make sure that we don't let our existing tools, and when I say our, I'm talking about the collective our, mine and yours, right? Our collective conventional tools impede progress when it comes to people that want to talk to us, right? That's the name of the game, right? Get as many people talking to us as we possibly can. When you have more than just a handful of individuals that need to get in touch with you, right, it becomes exponentially more difficult to make sure that those people are getting to the right folks on your side. Traditional scheduling tools and methods just don't cut it. Over the next few minutes, we're going to try to help you understand the experience of Smart Scheduler and the flexibility that it can offer in all scenarios. Teams are large, small, we will adapt. You'll see it can adapt to your needs. So let me go ahead and just give you a couple of different examples. Won't cover these in great detail today, but I just wanted to sort of share like how sophisticated and the breadth of different solutions that Smart Scheduler can offer, right? So whether you want John to only have meetings with his Tuesday, Thursday students at the 100 level, of course, right, we can handle that. If you want Jane to handle only high net worth individuals in the Pacific Northwest that don't already have accounts and are interested in insurance, right, we can create a scenario where that person gets to the right person on your side. Need to make sure that the right agent gets booked for the next showing of the hot new multiplex in the Soho area. We got you covered. If you're in person and you're at a conference and you have 7 people working the booth at different times with a bunch of overlap, and you want to maximize the number of on and off floor meetings that you can have with the attendees that are there, so that way there's always somebody available, we can help configure the right settings in Smart Scheduler to make that available for you. So that's enough talk. Let's go ahead and jump right into things. Where I am going to start is with the what I'm going to call the booking experience. So where your customers will sort of meet the Smart Scheduler. Now there are a couple of different ways. I'm going to show one way first, and then we can talk about others. But one way is there's a website, right? And so somebody comes to the website, and let's say wants to book a meeting, or somebody wants to schedule a meeting of some sort, and that's where we're going to start, and then we can go other places from there. So I have a couple of different examples. This is a university example here. I'm going to, here's a wealth management example, but ultimately there is a call to action on this particular page. Now, this could be the home page. This could be, if you think about it from a higher education perspective, if somebody is logged in, I'm a student, I'm logged into, my particular instance here, right? There's a make an appointment with your advisor, but it could be kind of anywhere there's a call to action button, we can embed or link to our Smart Scheduler. So in this instance, you'll see that when I click on that particular call to action, it brings me to this booking page, the Cirrus Insight booking page. Now, something to keep in mind, it says Cirrus Insight here. It's because it's my booking page. I created it and I left the logo there as Cirrus Insight. But of course, you could make this your own logo and it could be branded for yourself, but just wanted to make a note of that. You'll notice that there's a couple of things. Number one, meeting lengths, time zones. There's a kind of a day picker here, if you will. And then you'll see there are actually 3 different sections here, but because we there are no availabilities in the morning, you don't see the morning section. But if this was 7 o'clock in the morning, you would see potentially morning options, afternoon or evening options. So for example, if I go to Monday, right now, you'll see that there's morning options, afternoon and evening options. So very similar to any kind of booking experience, right? It's fairly intuitive for the individual, right? They take a look and see what options are available, and they'll click a button, and that will, behind the scenes, right, Cirrus Insight's Smart Scheduler will push the right person forward that should be scheduling that meeting based on the criteria that we have set up. And we'll talk more about the criteria a little bit later. So if I book at 4:30, the first person you'll see that comes up, all right, in this particular instance, Hank is the right person to be meeting with. But I do want to show you it's more than just one person, right? This is live, right, based on different criteria. Maybe Hank wasn't available at at this time right here, which I think was 5 to 5:30. So Pete showed up. If I go back and I go to another page here, to go Friday, I know Friday I'm not available, so I won't show up on any of these. So there's Hank. I'm just going to click through a couple of these because I just wanted to kind of show you how this kind of works. And there I am. So, and there's me. So we have a number of people configured. I think there's about 4 or 5 people in this particular Smart Schedule. And based on different criteria, which we'll get to, right, it's going to book the meeting with that particular person. So this is, again, different than sharing out just a link to one individual's calendar, right? This is, hey, we're setting up, we have a pool of potential people that we want to have meetings booked with, and what we are doing is based on the criteria you set up, we're presenting forward the appropriate person at that time. Now, once you get to this page, it's pretty darn simple. It's the same thing as it would be for any other booking experience. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to book time with Pete, because Pete and I talked about this, and Pete's not going to mind if I book some time on his calendar. So this is going to be Vinny V DeSalvo at cirrusinsight.com. Over here, if I want to, I can go ahead and I can add any additional invitees. So let's say I want to invite Jane Doe at gmail.com, right? I could go ahead and add an additional person. In this particular case, there is no set location for this. Pete has, for this particular schedule, we've gone ahead and we've set, no specific location. We want the individual who's booking the meeting to specify a meeting location. So we've allowed that to be open. You don't have to. We do integrate with, Teams, Zoom, and Google Meet, right? You could have it be a virtual meeting, or you could set it specifically 123 Main Street and have it locked in so it doesn't change, right? You have that flexibility just like you would in any other tool. So I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and meet down on the corner. We'll meet. How's that, Pete? And I'll schedule that meeting. So now again, just like any other booking experience, we've gotten the visual confirmation on the screen, but we will also get a couple of different emails. Well, one, as Pete, if I'm Pete in this scenario, Pete's going to get have this show up on his calendar, right? Just like any other meeting that he were to potentially create himself, it'll show up on his calendar and he will be the organizer. And those additional people that email was sent to would be invitees. In addition to that, we'll also send Pete an email that says, hey, FYI, this meeting got booked. Be on the lookout for it. Nice thing about Smart Scheduler is you can actually toggle that on or off for the schedule that you have. So for example, why would you do that? Let's say you have a group of I don't know, 5 or 6 people, and they are getting booked, every half hour on the, every half hour throughout the day, right? And so their calendars are being booked no matter what. So they don't really need to be aware. They're just working off of their calendar. So, it would be a distraction if they got 10, 20 different emails if you have a high volume area. So they might not want the email. They'll just work off of their calendar as an example. But again, right, this is somewhat standard to our calendar scheduling tool. So if you have access to our current calendar scheduling tool, which I think most of you do, right, this experience, pretty simple, pretty straightforward in terms of how things get booked. I'm going to go ahead and take a second and pause right here and just see if there are any initial questions on what you've seen so far. Tried to keep it fairly simple and basic, but it's worth pausing for some questions. And if there are none, we'll move on to the actual creation of these smart schedules. All right, doesn't look like we have any questions coming in, but if you're furiously typing, don't worry, we'll get to it once we kind of move forward here. So let me sort of help you understand kind of where this is all going to come into play. So if you are an admin within the Cirrus Insight platform, when we launch this product, you'll be able to access this product right from the dashboard page, right from the home page of the dashboard. And they'll see under scheduling, you will see a new option that's called Smart Scheduler. When you click on that, And when you click on that, I'm gonna kind of go through here real quick. For the very first time, when you first click on Smart Scheduler, this is what you'll see, because you won't have any schedules potentially that you've created already. So it'll kind of look like this, and it'll say, hey, do you want to create a new schedule? If so, go ahead and let's click Get Started, which will essentially do the same thing as what I'm going to show you here, which is hit New Schedule right over here. Um, if you once you have multiple schedules that you're working with or the organization is working with, right? Because you can have as many different schedules as you potentially want. As you can see here, we have quite a few. Um, and you'll notice that, based on certain situations, you'll see like some differentiation, like the fact that, this one I can actually toggle on and off, but these other ones I can't. And that's because I'm not an owner of those other uh, schedules. So just to give you an inkling, right, there is this sort of light security, I'll call it, that is available within the tool and within the product. That basically, if I'm not an owner, I can't modify a particular, a particular schedule. This comes into play a lot where you have a large organization and you have multiple teams that are using Smart Scheduler. You may not necessarily want, even though somebody is an admin, right? Somebody in Department A to be able to change the schedule for Department B. You could do that. You could make it available for that person to also adjust it, but you can also sort of limit it. So just wanted to kind of give you that perspective as well. So let's kind of get started. Let's say I want to create a brand new schedule. What does that process look like? And I want to kind of bring you through the most basic functional smart scheduler we can create, right? I want to show you how quickly it can be. So the first thing that you are going to be when you hit new, the first thing that you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to set up what that workflow is, or what that calendar sort of the details are. The first thing here is whether you want, essentially a smart rotation, or what I'm going to call kind of a round robin. And I'll explain that in a little bit more detail, but basically the deal is, do I want, basically to kind of go in a sort of not random order, but do I want to go in a round robin order, or a sort of a circular order, or do I want to, sort of the system to, potentially, favor certain folks over others for different reasons. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, but we will I just want to kind of get through this first and just show you kind of how easy it is, how quickly you can get things up. So you kind of start with that decision, right? Which direction I want. I'm sorry. You'll also notice that some of the language that you see here is going to be very similar to the language that you are already familiar with calendar scheduling. So like meeting buffers, right? You could say, hey, if somebody's trying to book a meeting, I don't want them to be able to book within 4 hours of them trying to book that meeting. And we're going to need at least that amount of time. Or you could say, hey, I want somebody to be able to book immediately, so I don't want there to be any meeting buffer there. You can also set a meeting buffer in between meetings, like, hey, I don't want people, I don't want to be back to back to back, right? I want there to be, potentially for whoever's up next to, give them a little bit of time, like, 30 minutes or 15 minutes in between those meetings. Or you could say, no, I want everybody to be back to back, right? You have the ability to adjust this schedule however you want, just like, again, a typical calendar scheduling tool. The next is you set up your calendar overall, right? So what options are going to show up essentially when people are trying to book that meeting? What does that look like? So for example here, right, I'm going to say I could put some welcome text right in that booking page, right? I can sort of put in whatever I want, just some from a text perspective. And then I get to choose, right, what days of the week, start time, end time, what time zone it's based off of, and any meeting lengths, right? If I want to have, you know, 4 meeting lengths like this, I can have them. If I say, you know what, I just want there to be a 30-minute meeting. That's it. I only want to do 30-minute meetings, and that's going to be the only option, and that's going to be the default. You can do that as well. So again, a lot of flexibility, very similar to kind of what you see there before, right? If I only want to do meetings Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right, I can change that as well. The next thing is the location. So remember I said, you can kind of change the location. You could say, hey, let's go ahead and make it a custom location, or I could use a virtual. So in this case, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? We use Zoom. So let's go ahead and make it as a virtual meeting. The next thing that you'll see, and I'm going to pause here because I do want to take just a moment to talk about this, because I didn't mention this at the very beginning, because I wanted to talk about it here. We do provide a checkbox for you to save these meetings as they are getting booked to Salesforce. We can do that for you. Assuming you have a Salesforce service account set up, right? We can go ahead and we can get those meetings saved over to Salesforce. But, and this is the super exciting news, you don't need Salesforce to utilize Smart Scheduler. It's one of the few things that we have at Cirrus Insight that don't require Salesforce in order to work. As a matter of fact, when this goes to general availability, we will be selling this as a standalone tool. So you don't necessarily need to have a Salesforce account in order to utilize um, Smart Scheduler. Now, that is similar today with the way we're set up today for our regular calendar scheduling tool, but we don't offer currently a plan that that doesn't include some sort of Salesforce integration. When we go to general availability with this tool, we will in fact have a standalone version that will not provide any kind of Salesforce integration whatsoever. So you don't need to worry about it. So really exciting news about that, and real excited about with the possibilities that is going to open for both us as well as for you as customers, and especially our larger customers that have other departments that might have a need for scheduling, but they don't use Salesforce, right? It's just, but it would be great to have a scheduling tool for them, whether it be Smart Scheduler or our standard calendar scheduling tool. The next section down here is questionnaire. The questionnaire section is very similar to what you've experienced with our current calendar scheduling, right? I can add a question. What is your name, as an example? I can make it required by clicking this little asterisk, or I can not make it required. I can add as many questions as I want. Where are you located? Right. I mean, I could do all sorts of things. Like, what do you want to talk about? So you can do anything. You can make it, as I said, required, not required. You can rearrange the order in these questions, all of that kind of stuff. And everything here, all these questions, these are short answer questions. Okay. Beyond that, then the last thing to do here is to customize a customer email subject. So this would become the subject of the actual invite. So you can customize this. So thanks, or you could say like advisor meeting, right? You could put your company name up there, whatever you want in that subject. You could go ahead and do so. And then this little button that I have down here, this little checkbox, this goes back to something I mentioned before, right? If you have people whose entire job is based on fielding these kinds of meetings, right, from web form, let's say, and they're being booked 10 20 times a day for 15-minute meetings or something, right? They might not want to get those 20 different emails. So this is where they just work off of what's next on their calendar. You can go ahead and turn that off. You don't have to have that on where they get an email saying, hey, somebody just booked on your calendar. Hey, somebody just booked a time on your calendar. You don't have to have those emails sent out. You can uncheck that. So once you have sort of this workflow, what we're calling workflow settled, the next thing is to decide, okay, well, who's going to be part of this smart schedule? Who are the people that we are adding to this smart schedule list? So here, anybody who is in your Cirrus Insight system can be added to a smart schedule. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just pick the people that I know that we were scheduling with before. I think Hank was on there and Sam was on there as well. There we go. So not only can I add people here, however, I can also adjust the order in which these people show up. Now, why is that important? Well, this kind of goes back to what we looked at early on when I said you can choose to go with like a standard kind of round robin or some specific criteria. In this particular scenario, right, if there is, let's say, a tiebreaker, or I'm going to make this up. Let's say what we're trying to do is we're trying to balance. We want everybody to have roughly the same number of meetings being booked through this environment. So we want to kind of be somewhat equal. So we want everybody like, all right, so in this case, Cam's got 3 meetings, Hank's got 3, Christy's got 3, Pete has 2, and Sam has 2. Okay. In that scenario, right, what we're going to do is we are going to prioritize, right, Peter and Sam's availability in that grid of possible times to select, right? So more often than not, you're going to see, Pete and Sam's name in there. But because they both have 2 meetings that have been booked, right, there's a tiebreaker there. And in this case, Pete, is listed above Sam, right? So Pete's name would more likely win out if they both had availability at the same time. However, if we had it the other way around, where Sam is, if they both had availability at 4 o'clock, right, what we would do is we would prioritize Sam. So we can get very, very detailed and we can get very specific in how we show availability and those time slots and who should be shown in those time slots. This session is not to go through every single one of those scenarios, but just to give you um, a little bit of some information about what we can do and how we can do it. We are certainly open to talking with each of you one-on-one as needed to talk about your specific scenario and how things would work. So by all means, we're going to put an interest form link on the screen in a little bit, but we can kind of go through that with you all as well individually. So once you're done assigning, right, the people to the schedule, then it's time to deploy, right, or get ready to think about how we're gonna deploy this schedule. First and foremost, you want to give this a name. This is essentially you can sort of test schedule 1, and then you give it a URL. Now this URL is the URL that will show up when somebody eventually gets to this page. So it's think of it as like a vanity URL. You could say, book time with Vinny, right? And so that's it. Now, remember at the very beginning, I mentioned when we were looking at a bunch of those different schedules on the dashboard, this is where you can assign an owner that's not you, right? I'm in here by default because I am the one that's making this schedule. But let's say I also wanted Pete to be an owner of this schedule. So I wanted Pete to be able to come in here whenever he had an opportunity and mess around. We could do that as well. But for right now, we're just, I'm just going to leave it like that. But again, anybody within the Cirrus Insight instance can go ahead and be an owner, as well as the branding. You can change the branding up right here as well. Once you're done, you can go ahead and you can publish. And one of the things that you'll see is you'll see that I went ahead and I published it, and it's listed right here. I have the ability to activate it. I have the ability to edit it again. If I want to kind of come back in here and make changes, I could go ahead and do that. I could duplicate it if I kind of liked everything and I just needed to change a couple of different scenarios. I could do that as well right here. So I'm going to pause. There is a little bit more I want to show you, really kind of where we get super excited about some custom attributes and the ability to provide, to really kind of provide some pre-filtering. I'm going to show you that in a second, but I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions that anybody else has. Let me take a look here. All right, it looks like I see it can. All right. It looks like Adam, you got a question here. I see that this can be a great tool for those who are office-based, but it can be difficult for those who are field-based. Schedules changing dynamically depending on customer appointments. Yeah, so interesting, right? So the one thing that I didn't mention, and I totally should have mentioned before, is um, when you're seeing a page, right, a scheduling page, for example, this page where it says loading availability, it's important to note that at that moment in time, right when that person clicks that, we are going and looking at all of those variables, all of the different potential variables that could be, right, in terms of stack ranking, who should be available at what times. We're doing that in the moment. We're doing it live, including hitting each individual person's calendars. So for example, if at 2 o'clock this afternoon, Vinny wasn't available, right? But then all of a sudden, 10, call it 10 minutes before 2 o'clock, his 2 o'clock meeting gets canceled, right? And then somebody at whatever, at that time goes and opens the schedule. We will see that Vinny now has that time available and include him in the mix of how we're trying to figure out who should go where, and who should be made available at what particular time. So even if you are on the road, right, that availability, this isn't just a, hey, we're just going to pick some availability and just drop it in there right once and done. No, every single time this page gets refreshed, we are looking at that at everyone's availability at that particular moment in time. So Adam, hopefully that answers your question. If not, feel free to to come back and ask another question there, or a follow-up question. Let's take a look here. Once time, it's another question from Stacy. Once times are taken, are they removed? That's a great question. It depends. The short answer is it shouldn't necessarily be removed. Like I think I booked a meeting earlier at 5:30 with Peter. Let me just double check if that was the case. Is that what I did? I don't remember what time I booked that meeting, but I think I booked a meeting for today at 5:30 with Peter. Uh, but but you'll notice that 5:30 slot is still available, and that's because Hank has availability at that time. So even though I booked with Peter, and Peter was the right person to book at that particular moment in time, I booked it with him. If somebody else in that grouping that we've assigned has availability, right? That time slot will still be available. As you can see in this case, Hank is available at that particular time. And I can't remember, maybe it was 5 just to verify, but you'll see, right? Pete's not showing up there again. Let's take a look here. Okay, that looks good. Another question. Yeah, if there's only one person, um, the question was, if there's only one person in the assignees section, will it be removed? Yeah, absolutely. But in that scenario, Stacy, we can talk offline if you want. What we're calling smart scheduler might not be the right solution if there's only one person involved. You might be able to just simply utilize the calendar scheduling tool in and of itself. If that might feel a little bit more powerful for you as an individual in terms of configurability for your calendar. So if you're interested in that, we're happy to connect with you and talk more about that. All right, it looks like there are a couple other questions that came in. Just give me 1 second to kind of look through this. Yeah. Great. I think we got most of that, and I'm going to cover some of these others as we go through the rest of this. So, internal team, I think I'm going to cover most of what you just described in this next section. And so, if I don't, let me know. But I think we should be good there. Okay, moving on. I'm going to try to keep this fairly short and sweet because the bulk of what I'm going to show you next is exactly the same, with one key exception, and really kind of like what I'm going to call sort of the secret sauce as part of this. So when you create a smart schedule, one of the other things that you can do, which again, I didn't show you before because I wanted to keep it kind of simple, is you can actually create a pre-screening form, essentially a form that an individual would have to fill out, right? That we've all done, right? How many times do you go to a website and you're trying to click the call to action button and it asks you to answer a few questions, right? We're all familiar with that UI. Well, you can do the same thing. So in this case, right on this side, we have the ability for you to create that particular form ahead of time. And that form is going to be based on different attributes that you will create prior to creating the smart schedule, right? We're calling them attributes or custom attributes. Let me kind of show you where those would be. Let me just get through here real quick. Bear with me 1 second. So for the users, right, you'll be able to identify very specific attributes that are individual or individualized. And so, for example, here's a couple of different examples, right? There's a custom attribute for a user that's called product knowledge. And as you can see here, Andrew has only one thing listed there, and that is email campaigns. However, Laura has email campaigns, online store, and something else. And Dan has email campaigns, online store, and 3 others. Here, Erica has these 2 things, right? So you can now start to see the power of Smart Scheduler when you start to introduce these custom attributes to individuals. Because when we get to creating that form, right, that form will allow us to further filter out, right, which team members we show in which slots on that scheduling page. And so you can create as many custom attributes as you want. We have some custom attributes that, kind of are standard, if you will, country, company size, currency, language, state. But you can obviously create custom ones as you wish. And again, you can assign, right, different attributes to different people. We'll have a few more. These are just a couple that I'm showing you right here. At launch, we'll have a few more that might be available as sort of a templated or use our pre-filled options. We may have a few more when we go to market. So let me show you what that looks like right on the creation side, right? So let me come back here, and I'm going to have to reset this. So let me go ahead and create this new form to show you kind of what it would look like. So the first thing you do is you kind of give your form a name, right? In this case, I'm going to call it schedule a demo, or this could be meet with my advisor, or this could be, find a new home, right? It could be anything that you want it to be. From there, I get to select, right, a particular attribute that I want, right, to select. So like, where are you located? And I could go ahead and I could say, use the country, in this case, custom attribute that is listed on a user, right? And I could make this a single select, a multi-select, right? I can put some placeholder text like, please select the country that you are located in. I could there could even be a default one, right? If you primarily just do business, in this case, we're talking about country in the US, right? You could do that. You could make that. And you can make it required or not required, right? So there are a number of, potential options here. You can add as many, you can add as many questions as you want. Customize, I'm clicking customize here. You can even customize the options as we kind of go through there. You can even change the call to action button that's there. You can have as many. Let me jump over and show you what it looks like in practice. So when I hit that scheduling button, instead of it immediately coming to the scheduling page like it does here, right, what will happen is I'll get that pre-screening form first, right? And this is where you're located. I can pick where I'm located. I can go ahead and pick, the my company size here. That was a question, and what specific, products I'm interested in. Right. I go ahead, hit the reCAPTCHA, and then I hit continue. Then it brings me to the scheduling page. But what you didn't see, right, is all of the work behind the scenes that Smart Scheduler did, right? It went ahead and it dialed in each one of those specifically, right? Think of it as maybe even a spreadsheet with filters, right? Like, okay, we need the schedules of people who are available in the US, people who handle this particular, company range, right? And it's sort of filtering that list out, right, real time. And then from there, based on, the other specific attributes and settings that you have set, it's going to display, right, this particular screen. Now you'll see in this instance, right, maybe there are, we're showing some times that are available and times that are not available. And the times that are not available, right, you'll see here that are in gray. But, right, the times that are available, let's say I want to book 2:00, right, I'm going to go ahead and click that. And once again, right, you're immediately brought back to the standard, booking page for calendar scheduling. Again, this is something that you are all familiar with as Cirrus Insight customers, right? If you're using calendar scheduling, this should look very, very similar for you, right? And so again, person just fills this out, right? They hit schedule meeting, and again, that meeting gets scheduled, everything gets sent out. It is super simple, super easy for not only the person booking, but it's, at least in our opinion, we feel like it is super simple for you all to get exactly the scenario that you are looking to get when it comes to matching up the right potential customer or individual with the right person at your company. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you that component, the ability to create custom attributes, assign attributes to individuals, and then based on those attributes, pre-filter who should get right what. So for example, I'll just do one last example. Let's say we do it by state, and I handle New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania, right? If somebody selected any other state, right, then those that I just mentioned, right, I'm not going to come up as potentially showing availability for that individual when they go to book, right? That's the kind of stuff we're talking about here. And you can get as creative as you want. I mean, when I say as creative as you want, you can have as many different custom attributes as you would like. So whatever scenario you can think up, I am sure we should be able to handle those. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause there for any questions. I know that we are at 11:48 here, so I want to be cognizant of everyone's time. Let's see, did any other questions come in here? Bear with me. Don't see any specific word. I think we answered that one. I answered that one. Okay. I think for the most part, we've gotten through most of the questions. But what I'll do is I'll sort of tell everybody what I always do, which is if you have any questions that we have not answered, by all means, feel free to reach out to us. My email is up on the screen. You can always email us at sales@cirrusinsight.com. If you have a CSM, you can reach out to your CSM. If you have an account manager, reach out to. I mean, we try to make it as easy as possible for you to reach out to us and connect with us. So by all means, go ahead and do that. The last thing I do want to let everybody know is that we are looking at potentially doing a public beta of this, a restricted public beta, let's call it. So there is a website that I'm going to drop, or I think Ryan's going to drop in the chat for everybody, and it's but you see it on the screen here, cirrusinsight.com/smart-scheduler-coming-soon. If you are interested, or if you think your organization is interested in utilizing Smart Scheduler, please fill out that beta interest form, and we will reach out to you when the time comes and the feature is available for you guys to test out. So once again, I want to just take a brief minute and just say thank you to everyone for taking the time to come out today and be with us. If you have any questions, once again, reach out to us in any of the ways, all of the ways that are available to you. And we hope to see you soon on the next one. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.